The Economist did a very nice, one of their special reports recently on the emerging markets and how they're going to change everything in the world. Our lives here in places like the United States and Canada and in European nations, as well as their own. And a couple of statistics just really, I think, set that stage. The current forecasts are that 70% of the world's growth is going to come from emerging markets in the next few years. 70%. 40% of it from two countries, China and India. There are now 21,500 multinationals in emerging markets. The number of the BRIC companies, Brazil, Russia, India, and China companies, on the Financial Times 500 has grown 4 times between 2006 and 2008, up to 62. So 500 of the world's biggest, 62 of the world's biggest companies are from emerging markets. And those emerging market companies and the nations in them are really setting the globe's pace in terms of education, talent development, and retention. And they're doing it in a context of just amazing growth. The share of global gross domestic product belonging to the emerging markets was 36% in 1980. It's 45% in 2008. It's expected to go over 50% by 2014. The consumer spending in emerging markets is 34% of the globe's total, compared with, here in America, we think we're the consumer society. We can only rack up 27%. Mittal, who the heck ever heard of them in the United States? But today they're the world's largest steel producer. Hindalco, an Indian aluminum company, grew revenues from, 500 million to 15 billion in 7 years. That's Google rate growth, and they're doing it making aluminum. Lenovo. Lenovo used to be a very unsuccessful IBM brand. When they sold it to a Chinese company, it's now the fourth largest PC maker in the world. So you're dealing with a world in which these countries are growing enormously fast, and they have a huge, huge talent requirement. So China and India today are producing twice as many people with advanced degrees in engineering or computer science as the US every year. And this is usually a factoid you see in the context of despair when we talk about America falling behind. McKinsey said, remember, appearances are not always what they might be, things are not always as they appear. Their estimate is that a lot of those graduates being cranked out at enormously high volumes in emerging markets are not necessarily ready to work in the world's multinationals. They have huge turnover because there's always another better job out there. And why is this happening? Because the companies are growing faster than their educational system. So according to the Economist, the 2 big problems that these emerging market countries have are producing a world-class workforce at light speed, and recruiting and retaining the qualified workers they need. Now, those are the same problems that everybody has, except the scale and the pace is so enormous. And it matters to us because we're their next door neighbors. We have our colleagues here from Chengdu. I welcome you. I already live next door to you because we're connected. Our economies are connected. And so it's vital that we learn to use that connectivity to better ourselves, to better our educational models, to deliver the kind of training that Kevin McRitchie was talking about earlier today. So we need to turbocharge educational achievement throughout our lives. We need to create an educational ecosystem reaching that does not end at the walls of the school, but reaches far outside it. And we need to treat talent as a supply chain that needs to be relentlessly managed. We need continuous training. We need performance-based compensation. We need high quality of working life, just to compete worldwide with the emerging giants that are coming, that are stepping onto the world stage.